Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the DASHcast Podcast. I'm Gardze and this is...
Sam Duncan.
Sam Duncan, thanks for being here today. So Sam is absolutely one of our stud producers here with Dash. And so we're going to go through a little bit about how Sam got here, his journey through real estate. It's been, how many years now you've been in the business, Sam?
About 8.
About 8 years, all right? And so let's start with today and then we'll work a little bit backwards, right? So today, about halfway through the year, how many closed and pending so far?
Closed and pending, I carried over 3 from last year, and I think between that and what I've generated this year, I'm at about 27. And then I have, I think, 6 active listings, 7 going active tomorrow.
Wow. All right. So we're on track for, let's call it 50-ish or so this year.
That'd be good. I don't know if we'll get there, but
pretty stellar start to the year, I'll tell you. And again, let me ask you this. Do you have buyer's agents underneath you? Is anybody else doing all the hard work for you, or is this kind of you and your business and what you're doing?
Mostly me. I mean, I do utilize the resources that Dash has, but for the most part, I'm usually the one showing the properties. I'm usually the one writing the offers. I'm usually the one doing the research. So it's mostly me.
All right. So on track for 50 houses then this year, let's call it. How's that impacted your everyday life? Like what's life look like for you right now? And I happen to know there's some fantastic changes over the past several months, but tell us a little bit more about life for you these days.
Yeah, honestly, I would say I honestly think I have a lot more to give. I really do. I mean, you definitely, it's one of those things you probably never shut off. So it's not it's not as much a work-life balance. I would say it's more of like a work-life integration kind of thing. But I mean, there's honestly, like, there's certainly some days, like yesterday, today, like I'm pretty much from the second I wake up to the second I go to sleep, like something or doing something real estate wise. But there's definitely a lot of days where like I might, be pretty much done at noon and I can do whatever I want the rest of the day. So I think I'm content with where I'm at, but like I also do have a lot of room to grow because if I audit my week, there's a lot of time that I spend that I could be, spending more time with productive things rather than kind of just wasting the hours. But
I love it. Typical high producing agent that says they got more to give and continually pushing back those goalposts a little bit. But come on, let's be honest, right? I mean, how old's the new baby right now?
9 months today.
9 months today. All right. And so all of this business building went on while you were really spending a lot of time with your family, right? Like, I mean, you really leaned into the idea of this newborn and just how long you been married now? How long has that been?
It's a good question. I should know this off the top of my head. It's November 2024, so whatever that is.
Math is hard, but it's been, 18 months-ish or something. And so in the last 18 months, right, we got married, we had a new baby, we've gotten to spend a ton of time, and yet still you're on track for having literally the most productive year you've had, right? Okay.
Yep.
And so all told, if I was to rate your business, if you were to rate your business 1 to 10 right now, 10 being the best business ever, you wouldn't change a thing. 1 being, oh my God, why am I even doing this? What are you at right now?
Honestly, that's a tough question. I think I would say maybe like a 7 or 8.
All right. So tell me what a 10 looks like then.
I think I would say a 10 to me, because I think the benefit of being a real estate broker is obviously the actual occupation itself is great. Like there's so many benefits to it. You get to develop a lot of relationships. It is problem solving. It's getting ahead of things. It's not like mundane. But I think the biggest thing is you get to, it opens you up to so many opportunities through real estate where you can kind of take a step, above and go, to bigger and better things. So basically, instead of just sitting here, like I don't truthfully want to be selling houses as a full-time, like 100% of my income in 20 years, or even, probably even 10 years, just because it is a, weekend-oriented job for the most part. Like there's a ton of work you do during the week, but like there are a lot of times where you spend, 5 hours on a Saturday and 4 hours on a Sunday that I don't want to be doing that. Like if I, have more kids and they're all older, if they have a baseball game, they have whatever, I don't want to be always, available to other people so that I'm kind of missing out on time with them. So I would say, right now I say 7 because I haven't fully, immersed myself in the bigger stuff. We're getting there. But, I'll always sell. Like I think I enjoy the transaction. I enjoy, the time that I get to spend with people because it is different. It's not like, we spend a lot of time with our people, our clients. So you develop genuine relationships. It's not like hey, I spent 2 hours with you and then I'm done. Like we spend a lot of time together. So I think that's a really cool part. But I'll always have that aspect of my business, but I want my main source of income to be, the things that you can kind of build through real estate, not as much, transacting and buying and selling.
I love it. So I want to hear more about that, but I want to back all the way up. So we're 8 years into the business. 8 years ago, you looked even younger than you do right now, right? And so let's be honest, I've had a gray beard since, I don't know, I can remember. And so that helps me in business, right? It helps me in life. People just look at me and they think, okay, this guy's been around for a little while, right? And so you got into this business 8 years ago. I'd love to hear what that first year was like for you, where your business came from, struggles you had, things you dealt with. I know it's been a while now, but I think you can probably think back and give us a little bit of insight on, how you were able to accomplish things in that first year, how tough it was, the hurdles, obstacles, roadblocks. Let's open it up. Let me hear it.
Yeah, I think I would say, certainly your age does not help you, especially when you're in an industry where you're helping people buy and sell, houses, where it's like, okay, well, I was freshly out of college, 21 years old, like probably haven't bought a house. Like most people at that age haven't bought a house. So if somebody comes along who's, 40 years old, has a family, has bought multiple houses before, they're not going to look at me and go, yeah, let me trust this 21-year-old guy who just graduated college to help me with the biggest transaction of my life. And so I think probably the biggest hurdle was the fact that I did go straight from college to real estate because I had no professional training. So like talking to somebody socially, just like one of your friends or a professor, whoever it is totally different than talking to somebody in the business sense, and that it requires so much more confidence to be able to do that, where it's like, hey, I'm not just talking to some random stranger. Like I'm talking to you like I want you to hire me for your biggest investment that you've ever made. So I think that was probably my biggest hurdle or biggest struggle the first year, just the amount of confidence that I did not realize that it took. And that was partly combined with the fact that, I didn't know what I was doing, relatively speaking. So like I wasn't confident for a reason. It wasn't like I knew what I was doing, but I just couldn't find the confidence. Like I didn't know what I was doing. So it just took time to like learn how to say things, like what to look for, the ins and outs of the process. So I think confidence was really the biggest thing from the start.
Such a powerful statement, right? Because a lot of people look at you right now and you make really good money and you sell a bunch of houses and you have a number of people who trust you so much that they're willing to risk their good name to refer you out to their friends and family, right? Because again, that's a risk that I'm taking, right? If I'm going to risk my good name and my relationship with somebody else to refer them into you, that's the single biggest show of trust I think there is in our industry, right? And so for you to be very realistic with yourself and with everyone here listening to say that, look, I didn't have it all figured out, right? And I did lack the confidence necessary, and I could identify that in myself, right? I knew I needed to do better. How on earth did you work on that? How did you get better? Like, what did you do to overcome that obstacle that a lot of us face?
I think probably, it really just, I think being aware of what's coming out of your mouth and realizing how that might not sound right or might not sound, convincing is not the right word. I think like our goal is not to convince people. Like I'm never sitting here practicing like convincing scripts. Like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. It is, I am working on learning enough about a topic that I can effectively communicate it, and so that the client can understand exactly what we're talking about and understand the pros and cons. So that's how I spent my time. It's like, learning how to identify issues, what potentially makes a transaction terminate. Is it the inspection? Is it the appraisal? Like if it's the inspection, what are some things maybe I should look out for? How do I have an idea of maybe what it might appraise for? So I try to learn as much as I could, but then at the same time, learn how to effectively communicate those things. It's not as much like, oh, your sales pitch, like here's why you should buy now. Because every time you look on Instagram, oh, it's a great time to buy and it's a great time to sell. Who would have thought, right? But it's more practicing how I'm saying something so that like, it's almost like I'm a teacher. Like if I'm telling this to somebody, is this going to make sense? And like, are they going to think that I actually know what I'm talking about when we're discussing this topic? So I think the first, for years, and I still do it to this day, like for years I spent a lot of time literally just talking to myself about certain things. Like if I see a house that has, polybutylene plumbing, like how do I explain that? Like I think how you explain that's very important, because what you don't want to do is scare the crap out of every buyer so they think that, oh my gosh, there's this thing with the house. I can't buy a house with an old roof. Like newsflash, every house is going to have issues. We just have to find the one that has, the right amount of issues that we're comfortable with, that are not enough issues to where like, hey, we're good. So I think really just, one of the biggest things was during COVID, we had a company contest for a listing presentation, And we had to record ourselves, give a 5-minute pitch on a listing presentation. I probably filmed that listing presentation at least, not exaggerating, 50 times. I would do it, and I'd hate the way that I said it, so I'd do it again. I hated the way I said it, I did it again. And by the time that I probably spent 5 hours doing it. It was during COVID. We didn't have anything to do. So I probably spent 5 hours doing it. By the time that I was done with that, I was so much better. And I think I actually did wind up winning the contest or whatever, which, like, it's funny because I looked at it, I was like, oh, I'm not going to win. Like, it's not that great. But, like, the effort that I put into it paid off. So I'm like, okay, if I can take this to other things as far as, like, how to talk somebody through an offer, or these random situations here and there. Like, my job is to learn how to effectively communicate issues that may pop up, things that we're needing to deal with, how the contract works. And again, like I think people a lot of times go too surface level with the contract. And like just one example I think is like the property disclosure. Like I think that is one of the most important documents to explain, but it is one of the least important documents in our transaction. The reason being, most people are going to think, oh, the property disclosure, if the seller says no on is there any issues with the roof? If there is an issue with the roof, they're misrepresenting. They're not. Because if you look at the second bullet point on the property disclosure, it says if the owner selects no, they have no actual knowledge. And then it goes on to say if they select no and they have knowledge, they then may be liable for an intentional misstatement. So what that tells us is they're just answering it to their knowledge. And if they were to be misrepresenting, we would have to prove that they knew about it and lied about it. How are we going to do that? So obviously there's certain situations where you can do that. But I think that's a huge thing to explain to people because, yeah, they're going to think, okay, well, my due diligence fee is non-refundable as long as the seller doesn't misrepresent. That's true, right? If the seller misrepresents, technically speaking, you would be entitled to your due diligence deposit back. But I think people's idea of what a misrepresentation is so wrong because they would understandably, because I think in other states it's done that way, they think, oh, if the seller is wrong on the disclosure, that means they're misrepresenting. Nope, doesn't work that way. So that's just one of like a few examples of like, I wanted to know that through and through so that I could effectively communicate it to somebody so that they understood it. So we didn't find ourselves in a situation where it's like, well, Sam, I gave them $7,000 due diligence and there's an issue here that they said wasn't there. Like they have to give me my money back. Nope. I've never had that situation before because I've spent the time to explain it before going under contract. And obviously that one's pretty simple, but like it's those things times 50, like knowing what to make the client aware of so that you don't get under contract and it all blows up.
You said so many wonderful things in that last soapbox moment, I would say, that it's hard for me to even begin unpacking.
I practiced that part in the car.
That was really good. Yeah, no, that was really good. Yeah. I'm glad we captured that. But here's, I guess, the start of what I pulled out of that. One, you can be the best agent in the world between your ears, but if you can't get it out of your mouth into somebody else's ears in a palatable manner, you're going to lose 10 times out of 10, right? And so the ability to artfully and effectively communicate is truly what you and I do for a living, right? I mean, yes, we help people buy and sell houses, but the ability to communicate, because what do people need during their transaction, right? I don't need a hero. I don't need you to save me. I need a guide. Tell me what hurdles I'm going to face. Tell me what sort of things could go wrong in this. And I think that's what you're really, really, really good at is tactfully, impactfully articulating exactly what's going to happen and what could go wrong to help buyers and sellers make their most informed decisions possible, right? I think that's an amazing thing. The next thing that you said that I love is that, I say this thing, it's will over skill, right? It's this idea of who's going to put in the work. Who's not going to give up after try number 47 on that video for a stupid contest, right? It was a stupid contest, but by God, you took it to heart and you were determined to put forth the best product possible, whether you're going to win or not. That's an amazing thing. I think that truly shows the level of dedication you're willing to go for your clients, for your family, for why you do this whole thing. I think if there was a message out there that I can pull out of everything you said for anybody that wants to be a great agent out there, it takes determination that most aren't willing to give, right? There's a reason why so many agents are out of the business and so many don't find the success they're looking for. You're not willing to put in the work, right? You put in the work over several years. So I've listened to you tell some of our new agents, like I would record myself and while I'm driving in the car, like I'd listen to it. I'd say it back. I'd do those things. What the hell else am I going to do, right? Yeah, I guess I could jam out to like some 80s hairband stuff, but like instead, like I'm going and I'm working on everything I need to, right?
Yeah, and I think, I do think that real estate is the one industry where people are not true, or they're not honest with themselves as far as how much they're actually working. I think a lot of people show up to the office, chit chat with coworkers, browse listings on the internet, think that they're working, and there is a time and place for that, right? I'm not saying don't do it, but like if you actually look back at your day and say, what did I do to push my business forward? Pushing it forward is either one of two things. I reached out to more people, so I got my name out there, or two, I learned more, and I developed like my skills. So like clearly, I mean, you can't just be sitting out here reaching out to people all day long if you don't have any skills, right? You have to develop those skills. So I think so many people think that they're working, or I put up a post on Instagram about, did you know you didn't have to buy 20% down? Like, I'm not hating on those posts, but like if that's all you're doing in one single day is making one post on Instagram, how long does that take? 10 minutes? What are you doing with the other 7 hours out of the day? So I think people just are not actually working towards, like, if I was starting over, I'd be studying inspection reports, I'd be studying appraisals, I would be studying the contract, I would, again, practice how I say things, because that people are going to ask questions like, oh, what do you mean this due diligence fee is non-refundable? Like, how do you respond to that? Again, I'm not convincing you, I'm just telling you, right? And so I think the thing, at least, to go on my soapbox, I'm going to keep doing that.
I love it. You took the words out of my mouth on where exactly that average agent that's wanting to do more, like, you're nailing it. So inspection reports, keep going, everything. Tell them what exactly they need to do to have the knowledge base in order to service their clients successfully. Go. Yeah,
I would say first and foremost, kind of like I just said, actually be truthful with yourself and hold yourself accountable to how much you are actually working every single day. I don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't think putting up 1 or 2 posts on Instagram is working. Now, it's one thing if you're talking like professional videos and doing all your research there, but the majority of brokers, they just put up a little graphic, right? That, again, has its place, but that cannot be your work for the entire day.
Can't pat yourself on the back and say, I've done it. I've done what I need to feed my family today.
Right. Or just like sitting here browsing listings, like you need to know what's out there and kind of what things are selling for, but that should be a small part of your day. I think the majority of what you should be doing should be working on your craft, basically just like learning as much as you can. Like you think, again, you hit different tiers, I guess, of knowledge, and like you will never know everything. The second you think you know everything, your ego is going to get in the way and everything's going to crumble down. There's people who have been in the business for 25 years who have sold 1,000 houses that they still do not know everything. So I think having that humility to say, I don't know everything and I will never know everything. I'm going to strive to know as much as I possibly can. That is number one. Because the second that you think you know everything, it's going to go south for you, I promise. So the most confident thing you can say to a client is, I don't know. There's nothing worse than making up some answer, whatever, and saying, I don't know, but I will get you the answer right away, and holding true to what you say to somebody. If you tell somebody, hey, I'll get you this answer in 3 hours, you better get the answer in 3 hours. You can't say, hey, I'll get it to you in 3 hours, and then 6 hours go by. And like if things pop up, that's fine. Give them an update. Hey, sorry, hadn't forgot about this. I'll get to it. So nobody's going to expect you to know everything, but they're going to expect you to be able to get the answer to everything.
You're crushing it. I mean, right now, helping the average agent, first, put in the work. Secondly, you're driving towards some areas where I can improve, right? Because a lot of people want to be better. They want to do better. And so you're saying, study inspection reports, right? Study the contract. Know exactly what you're putting in front of people, right? Like, give me some more tools and tips for that individual who's currently will put in the will. They have the will. They want to work. They want to put in the time. So where can they focus that energy to better service their clients?
Yeah, I would say from practical things, I would say, again, shadowing as much as you can, I think. But again, that opportunities have to present themselves, so they're not always going to be available. But read inspection reports. Not even just be like, not just a surface level, like, okay, here's the issue with the HVAC. Like, let me learn more about that specific issue and like what the way to fix it is or how much it costs to fix it. Because at the end of the day, you want to always boil everything down to money, right? So it's, in terms of like pointing things out at a house, like if I sit here and go, oh, the roof's old, but I have no idea how old or how much it costs to replace a roof. Does that really help all that much? It does a little bit, but it doesn't really arm the person with the accurate information or the appropriate information to move forward. So I would say, reading inspection reports, reading the contract, practice how you say stuff. And again, it's not about convincing, it's about practicing how you say something so that they can that you can effectively communicate it and they can understand exactly what you're saying and they can feel like they are now experts in that topic. Not just that, hey, I'm your realtor, trust me, like do it as I say because you put your trust in me. Like, yes, there are time and place for that, but for the majority of things, I should show you what's in my brain, why I'm thinking this way as opposed to this way, and help arm you make that decision. So I would think inspection reports, appraisals, I think are a great thing. Every single contract that you get, when you're early on, study that appraisal. Why did the appraiser choose this? Why did the appraiser choose that? Why did they not choose this? Why did they not choose that? And then again, just practice how you say stuff. And then just as you go, or probably this, as you go along, maybe kind of keep a list of questions you get from clients that maybe it stumped you, maybe it didn't. But just like even a question like, hey, what do we offer? That's such a open-ended question. Like, how do you answer that? You know, because it's all situational. So, you know, I could answer that right now in 2 seconds. Because I mean, depending on if you gave me some, you know, data points.
Prove it. Okay.
So what do I offer? So I got a client who's probably making an offer on a house in Cary today.
Yep.
I just did the PSP, which I love. I sip
Probable
red wine.
sales price report.
Yes.
It's a CMA on steroids, right? Just for anybody that doesn't understand the terminology. And so we empower our clients with a probable sales price report, a lot of information, range of where an appraiser may very well find the value. Keep going.
So I just finished that because I think you can't really talk to somebody about what the offer should be before you do your research. Because what if the house is $15K underpriced? What if it's $15K overpriced? Knowing what questions to ask, you know, the client to kind of help guide them to. And I think like what you don't want to say is, I can't offer is much more of a conversation. It's not my position.
That's your money, your decision, right? Yeah, you're a great guide.
So I think at the end of the day, what you're trying to get it down to is what in a say multiple offer situation. We'll talk 2 different situations.
This one is
your
decision, right? Yeah,
which is not as common now. But multiple offer situation, what you want to try to get it down to is what number are we okay with any outcome. So it's like if we get it, we do not feel like we overpaid. If we lose it, that person can have it. They paid more than we wanted to pay. And they overpaid. What number? You're the suck. You
let them have it. Yeah, sucks for them. Right?
But then also, like if you lose it, you're not regretting not going higher. So that is completely relative, right? Because what if that house is right next to grandma?
Let them have it.
And
yeah,
she makes
sucks for them. Right?
then also like sweet potato pie on Sunday afternoon, and you have to live right next to her, and like you will overpay to get that to happen. That is a totally different situation than say somebody else who's like, well, I want to be 15 minutes to work, really less than 10. This one's 14 minutes to work, and the house is fine. So like if I can get it for this price, I'll take it. But like this specific house, I don't really want to go higher than that. So it's not always what offer is going to win. It's what offer makes sense for you, and asking those questions about like, I mean, how would you feel if this happened? How would you feel if that happened? Like if we go 5K under in a multiple offer scenario and we lose it, are you cool with that? You're cool with it? Cool. Let's put it in. If we get it, great. Because I mean, that's not out of the question that we get it 5K under in this market. How would you feel if that happened? Like if we go 5K under in a multiple offer scenario and we lose it, are you cool with that? You're cool with it? Cool. Let's put it in. If we get it, great. Because I mean, that's not out of the question that we get it 5K under in this market.
You nailed it. And I'll just sum it all up, right? Every house, the right price for you, right? And you and I are different humans. And yes, your grandmother might live next door and you might have to be there. And me, it's kind of cool if. So I loved it. I think you really put in a context exactly how you would help work through an offer with somebody using the probable sales price.
And one other thing too, I'll send over that, like when it comes to offer price, every situation is different because I had some people who were looking at a house that was $900 this weekend. They needed 5 bathrooms in the house. So like for them, and they would have to add 3 bathrooms. So what's the Lil Wayne lyric? 10 bathrooms I could, but either way. So they needed 5 bathrooms, but for them, there was only 2 full bathrooms in the house. So they'd have to add 3 bathrooms in. They're going to put in, I mean, just to make numbers super easy, between $100,000 and $150,000. So like that for them, for that specific house, does it make sense value-wise to buy a house at $900 that's already sitting for 45 days, even if you get it 20K below, who cares? Sure. 20K below, and then put 150 in on something that is more of a personal value than an actual like adding value to anybody else. Like when somebody else comes and sees it, they can be, yeah, I mean, it's cool that we got extra bathrooms, but I'm not paying 150 grand more because it's got more bathrooms that I can use. So it's gonna be very specific to each person. Like the one today, it's got an older roof and an older HVAC. So sure, maybe on paper it kind of lines up with the comparables, but also let's be aware that, hey, if we pay 10K over and we get it, you could be looking at 25K in the next 5 years with a 20-year-old roof and I think it was a 14-year-old HVAC. It could be less than 5 years. So it's just laying all that out on the table and looking at it from a, total, like putting everything out there, helping them make that decision rather than just saying, oh, I don't know what it's going to appraise. I can't tell you what to offer. Like knowing how to answer those questions. But again, the list of questions, you're going to get that question almost every time. What do I put for due diligence? What do I put for that? And instead of going, it's like, no, here's what I would say. That's what to practice on.
I love it. I mean, what a straightforward answer to help guide individuals who want to sell a lot more real estate. I think there's one other thing I'd love to get to today. I want to talk a little bit about your business mix, right? Everybody has a different way of growing and building a business. There are several bought lead sources. I call them all bought leads, right? Zillow, Realtor, Homestock. You can buy them from a million places right now. But from year 1 to year 8, your business mix, right? It went from almost 100% bought leads, right? To what does that look like now? And when did you really start to see the fruit from all the hard work you were putting in? Because I think we all know it's a lot harder to build trust with an individual who pressed a button and here I am, I show up and hey, I'm going to show you around, right? And so I think it's a lot easier when somebody says, hey, my guy Sam, he's fantastic. He's going to help you out. He did X, Y, and Z for me. So talk about that mix from year 1 to year 8 now and how and when that started to really change for you.
Yeah, I would say so. Year 1, I think my first calendar year. So like not because I joined Dash in July. So if I'm not counting the back half of that year, my first year I sold 30. 27 of them were bought.
Okay.
So I don't know what the other 3 were. I don't know if they were like self-gen or if they were whatever.
So it's 90-10, right? 90% like
year.
generated for you. And
I would say close to probably year 4 or 5 when I was more than 50% SOI. And I would say the last 2, maybe 3 years, I've been pretty much like 90% plus. And I'll just take some like it could be a lead that I took 5 years ago that comes back to me or, I feel like I have a lot of time to fill. So like, okay, well, I got a lot of people out of my pipeline. Let me just go take a Zillow lead or 2. Not that I need it, but more so just to fill my pipeline. This year, out of my 27 that I have, and shoot, even my 7 listings, so let's call it 34. I know those haven't sold yet, but of those 34, I think 2 of them are Zillow. All of those other ones are either referral based or somebody that I knew in my sphere.
Now, look, that's what we all want, right? And that's why we all use the bought leads is really to transition them into advocates for our business, right? But how'd you actually do it, right? In practice, like how did you actually turn these people into such raving fans of you and your business over the last several years?
If I had to summarize it and boil it down, I would say because of the amount of time that I spent preparing, not necessarily like for that one transaction, but preparing myself, in the first couple of years as far as being able to identify issues, being able to effectively communicate, letting them know the things they should be aware of so that we don't have any surprises while we're under contract, has made the process go so smoothly that rarely do I have situations that there's a massive surprise and the emotions get raised, because the goal is to keep the emotions down. And so I do that by my preparation. It is not anything that I say when something goes wrong. Things are going to go wrong, right? But it's more about catching it before it happens so that they have that's all it was. This is it. Oh, I thought buying a house was the most stressful thing in the world. And like I'm not saying that it's stress-free, and I'm not, there is certainly still stress, even if it's a very simple and easy transaction, but catching things beforehand. And also, like, I'm just myself. Like, there's no like business Sam and then personal Sam. I'm through and through me. And so I think people just see that, like, I'm not a realtor. I am just a guy, like hopefully their friend who just happens to maybe know a lot about real estate. So it's, my identity is not being in a real estate broker. So I'm not always just trying to look for the next sale. Like, I genuinely do not care when somebody does or does not buy a house, because my goal is to make sure that they are aware of what they're doing, informed to the highest, degree, and knowing that they're going to buy a house no matter what. Like, I closed one this year that I met the guy in 2019, and I could have very easily tried to like push, prices are only going to go up, whatever. It wasn't his time to buy. Yeah. He bought with me this year. So it took 6 years, but he bought. So like that's, again, if I do my job right, they will buy with me, and it's going to be a pleasant surprise typically, because real estate has that stereotype of like, oh, they're used car salesmen, and it's for a reason. Like, there's a lot of great brokers out there. There's a lot of brokers who do it the other way. And so there's a lot of people who will just try to push you through. I do not care how fast you move. I do not care how slow you move. And people can see that through the way that I communicate. So nothing that I say ever pushes somebody towards any decision.
Just help people to understand that I care more about your money than I do mine, right? You do right by people, and they're going to take care of you in the end, right? Yep. So, dude, I love it. You've built an incredible business that I think you should be very proud of. It allows you to not only live the life with your family that you're looking for, but it's evolved in such a way where you're getting the clients that trust you already, right? That respect what you do and how you do it. So I love it. Last thing, I just want to know, what do you want business to look like over the next few years for you, right? Look out on the horizon. What are you going to do different? How are you going to continue to evolve your business over the next several years as you're continuing to grow your family and doing things like that?
I think my real estate sales business will probably stay pretty similar to what's doing now. I think what I want to expand on is the land stuff. So me and my partner have, we gotten into some land development is a loose term. Like it's not that sophisticated, but, doing things like that where it's trying to, hammer some off market land stuff and turn that into either we buy it ourselves and, develop it, or we say, hey, builder, here's these lots, you can go buy it. And either way, kind of just maybe partner with some builders. And that's something that we're doing now. And we're trying to do more of it so that it's not as much of we have 1 or 2 a year. It's like, no, maybe we have 5 to 10 a year. We have 10 to 15 a year. So that's where I'd like to go. Because I feel like that is a more that's one area where I can, hey, I have 4 hours. Let me hammer this really hard. And really, at the end of the day, I do not care about how many houses I sell. I do not care about anything like that, because at the end of the day, I can't control it. I can't control if somebody goes 10K under. I can't control if somebody goes 10K over. What I can control is how hard I work. And all I care about is, did I put in the effort to enough effort to where I'm satisfied with the amount of time that I said that in a clunky way. But what I actually care about is, when I look back at the week or the month or the year, did I work as hard as I could have?
You again care more about the client and their best interests, right? And understanding that there is a personal effect to this. The idea that, and you said looking back over the week or the month or whatever period of time, but I think it's every day. I think you got to be able to go home every day to your family and know that, hey, I did what I need to build my business. I put in the work today, right? Like I'm proud of what I was able to do.
Whether I sell a house or not.
Right. It doesn't always equate. Like you cannot count your blessings on days on, closings and contracts, right? It has to be, I put in the work today. I did right by my people. I took care of the people that took care of me. And I won today, right? I think that's got to be a huge thing for you to be able to go home and clock out and enjoy that time with your family a little bit, right? Real estate's going to happen all the time. But for you to be able to prioritize your people at home while still prioritizing your business and everything you're doing there is amazing. So, dude, I think you're crushing it. I love that you took 20 minutes to sit and talk to me today. So you nailed it. Thanks for listening to another episode of the DASHcast Podcast. More to come. Thanks so much.
Let's go, Duke. Had to add that in there.